deep from a bunker in a top secret location. In southern Indiana comes a gathering of the Gospel Broalition. If it's religion, politics, cars, guns, cigars, and anything else flammable, we're talking about it. For men, by manlier men. Get it? Got it? Good. This is the Gospel Broalition. And here are your hosts, Pastor Lee, J.R. Robinson, and the Hoosier Hillbilly, Mike Paul.
So I got a question to start everything off to get the old gray cells going. So that means you have to think. That's what that means.
Gray cells? Is that what you said?
Yes, the little gray cells. You never watched Perot?
No.
Oh my gosh, okay. On British television. It's a fantastic show. Agatha Christie. Shut up, you guys are uncultured. You don't know. All right. Here's my question. You ready?
Yeah, what's the question?
I want an honest, legitimate answer here. All right. If the CDC came out. And
Here we go again. COVID.
All right. Because that's
all we got.
This is the last time we're going to talk about it. No. But if the CDC came out and said that, how tall do you think this table is, Mike?
3 foot.
36 inches, yeah, maybe 40.
3 foot tall. Okay. The Kamala virus does not get below 3 feet. All right. Now you're going to Walmart. You got 100 people at Walmart.
They're all walking on their hands.
How many of them are walking on their hands and knees? Now give me an honest answer. Percentage wise,
I'd say at least 35%.
35%.
But would they still have their mask on?
Probably yes.
Because I'm starting to see masks at Walmart again.
They'd have gloves.
But if they came out and said it does not get below 3 feet, how many people at Walmart would be walking on their hands and knees? Percentage.
They just roll around in wheelchairs, maybe?
I guess, yeah.
I don't know. Half?
I think you'd be too tall if in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
It'd be
You'd
close.
have to crawl.
They'd be like those little mechanic dollies, like on their bellies, kind of going around, and you just I guess I don't know what they would do. Have somebody just lay groceries on their back or something like that? I don't know what it is.
I don't know.
Just the fact that you would think that it's going to be 50% or 35% shows how stupid people are. Did you miss me? Hey, I'm back out of Facebook jail or whatever jail I was in.
It's true.
It is
Maximum
true.
security.
Maximum security, too.
Yes, I was. I was in solitary confinement somewhere in Washington, D.C.
Did you get that cake with a file in it from Ireland?
I did.
Okay,
I was in
got that or not.
I was in jail with the special forces guy. It was kind of cool.
Nice.
Who told me, by the way, that the military is not going to be on our side.
It doesn't look that way.
That does not surprise me.
He said...
Less than half of them.
I talked to him about it. He said a few years ago, I really had this conversation. Not in prison, but I had this conversation with the guys. I'm friends with a few guys who are special forces, and they were in agreement saying, many years ago, a few years ago, yeah, no doubt. Now they don't know. They don't know which way the military is going to swing because there's so much indoctrination that's taking place. So it's really sad. It's kind of depressing to hear. But I'm joined. This is Gospel Broalition. If you're tuning in for the first time, we're glad that you're here. Be sure to like and subscribe down at the bottom.
You even said subscribe right.
I didn't. I always struggled with it.
Been practicing.
Now I'm going to be thinking about it. To my right is the Hoosier Hillbilly Mike Paul. To my left, Dauntless Gaming Super Christian, J.R. Robinson. We are absent a couple of people tonight.
Of the Bromigos.
Yeah. Sweet Tony is not here. He's on assignment doing man on the street interviews at a vegetarian nudist colony.
It's true.
So we're pretty anxious to see that video. And
vegetarian.
Yeah, a lot of editing in that one.
Yeah, and Shutup Cameron, who turned me into Facebook, has been suicided.
It's
so
pretty crazy. He just disappeared.
I know. It was just, who would have thought he was going to kill himself? I was just saying.
I know.
Came back
Just out of nowhere, man. It's just like
it was weird.
He
never even had any signs.
I know. No, and how he got that mortar up his rear end, I have no idea. But he's gone, and so wherever you are, well, you're in hell because you're a liberal. So, oh my gosh, our TikTok guy is going to get on this because I said,
"Yeah, how dare you?"
I know.
How dare you?
No, I was out last week on vacation down in Georgia, celebrating my 25th anniversary. Gosh, you guys suck.
It's hard to clap when there's microphones.
I know, that is true. To my beautiful wife. We had a great time. Stayed at a place that was 2,500 feet above sea level. It was really cool. broke out sweatshirts at night.
Did you have trouble breathing?
You know what? I if I cough a lot, I don't have the Kamala. It's just I have allergies, and people who suffer from allergies, and you know who you are, you wouldn't know if you had a COVID or not because you feel the same way all the time.
It's true.
You just do. And speaking of the Kamala, why in the world do you have liberal friends? I wanted to ask you that.
I can't look at half his Facebook
I know
posts because I just
Mike and I talk about this. It's
I want
like
to slap people.
why?
We can still get along.
No.
It's okay to disagree with people
No.
and still not hate each other.
That's true. I guess we disagree on a lot.
Voter IDs are racist because homeless people can't vote.
Yeah, where did that come from?
They didn't like that one, did they?
Wow.
That's from somebody that probably doesn't watch the show.
I highly doubt any of those people watch
Yeah,
the
none
show.
of those people watch the show.
Because
which
if
is
they do,
sad
their
because
brains
they would learn
explode.
something. Yeah, they've learned something if they were here. But yeah, I just don't. Because I see your post, and every time you throw one up, I'm like, oh, here we go.
Yep,
I am
I'm
really
ready.
good at drawing them out.
And here
You
they
are.
come, and they're not liberals. They're like little panty waist liberals. I mean,
Yeah, they
they're
are.
horrible. You know.
He does well at handling them, though. Like,
Because some of them were legitimate friends before the last couple of years, and we can still be friends.
The Kamala kind of did that to people.
Yeah.
It really, Kamala really, I had to get rid of a bunch of people because they were just like, go get your jab and all that stuff. And I'm like, jab it up your rear end. I'm not getting it.
It is interesting. Like, I could post a really cool picture of my wife and my kids, and, certain people would come and like and comment, put the hearts on it. But some things I post, the same people come and respond.
Yeah. I think I'm being shadow banned.
I did see one. I feel like if you post something and I get there within an hour and there's no likes on it, I feel like it's being filtered. But I got there the other day, 23 minutes after you posted it, you already had 5 likes.
I think when I mention certain things, because I usually get, every time I put something up, I always get the fact checker thing on there.
Yeah.
And I think when I don't get that, I think they let more people see it. But I think just as soon as they throw that warning up, I think that limits, seriously, I think that limits who sees it.
See, I like to scroll through there and tell people that they've got the fact check thing on there. Take a picture of it, put it in the comments so they know.
True.
Oh, it's horrible. Yeah, but we still go there, so I can't say anything.
Yeah.
So I'm confused, about a lot of things concerning the Kamala. And I don't like being confused. I like knowing stuff.
Yep.
And so we're not going to, we do this all the time. Look, if you're tired of hearing about it, we're tired of talking about it.
Yeah.
It's just when we talk about the news and we go try to do it at the beginning of the week because we're doing a public service to you because, a lot of you don't get on the news, you don't watch anything like that, and so we're just trying to help you out, just trying to kind of keep you informed of what's going on around you before the police come and knock at your door and you're like, what are they doing here?
Yeah. Well, we told you.
Yeah. So
It's
you
the
just
same
kinda
topic that you had 18 months ago, except the narrative's changed.
Yeah, I mean, you can't keep up with it anymore.
Yeah.
You just really can't. Here's some questions I have. You guys are really smart. I'm going to just throw them out there, okay?
Ooh.
Thank you.
Simple questions that we've been asking every single week, but I just kind of put it in a format here. All right?
Okay.
Number 1, if the jab does work, then why are people getting infected? Still getting infected?
Well, that narrative changed this week. I told you about this before the show.
Yeah.
Is that they are no longer saying that you are immune to the virus, but that with your vaccine, you are now at less risk of being hospitalized or dying. But you're not
So you're still going to get it?
immune from the virus.
I mean, the way that they're talking and the things that they're sharing on the news, it makes me feel like it's almost better for me not to be vaccinated because I have a less chance of catching something.
I'm very confused because wasn't that part of the whole, you can take your mask off now? Hey,
Yeah.
go get vaccinated and you don't have to wear your mask anymore. And so there's a lot of people that went, cool, I'll go get vaccinated
think
just
so.
so I don't have to wear my mask anymore. And now they're like, oh, by the way, you got to put your mask back on.
I broke down the math for everybody earlier this week, and people didn't like my math either. That you had a 0.009% chance of contracting COVID while unvaccinated. 0.003% when you are. So you save 6 thousandths No, 600. Sorry. 0.0.
By injecting yourself with a non-FDA approved.
You don't know what's in it.
Exactly.
They won't
You
tell
don't
us
have
what's
any
in
idea.
it.
You have no idea.
I think it was Moderna this week that said that some of the vaccines are listing what's in there. But the Moderna vaccine has something in their list of ingredients that says proprietary something. They're not entitled to tell us what's in there.
Folks, do you honestly think that they're going to tell you that they're putting fetal tissue in there? They're not going to do that.
Yeah, and then
Because the FDA is in cahoots with the government, so it's basically the FDA is going to let a lot of stuff slide that it normally wouldn't.
And that's the other thing. Well, the FDA is going to approve it and it'll be all good. No, it won't. The FDA is part of the government. If the government wants it done, guess what's going to happen?
yeah, that F stands for federal.
Yeah.
Somebody thinks that they're going to, it's all going to fall apart. Everybody's going to start dying, and then they're going to swing it around and blame it on Trump and the GOP.
Well, I mean,
Because Trump's the one that tried to get the vaccine.
He rushed it.
going.
He rushed it.
I'll tell you what, Biden said this week that the new pandemic is the unvaccinated.
Yeah.
That we are now fighting a new pandemic that is the unvaccinated because we are putting somehow the vaccinated at risk.
We are the new Jews.
We've no longer made the conscious decision for ourselves to not have something, but because we've done that, we're endangering the people that have decided to have that vaccine.
That is the dumbest thing I have possibly ever heard.
I know I call him an idiot every time I'm on here. There's not even a descriptive term to describe this guy anymore.
Simple Joe.
Simple Joe's the greatest
Simple
thing.
Joe.
But it's just like,
Harry's on his way out.
I know you said that. Did you see the mask thing?
Which one?
Where the creepy mask thing with the kid?
Mm-mm.
You didn't see that?
No.
Oh, he goes and greets the governor of Kentucky and his children. And he's sitting there and he's talking to the kids. So you know how he is around young girls. He's like, "Hey, come here, and let me lick on you a little while." And so
Smell your hair.
Yeah, and so he actually pinched a nipple.
I remember seeing
One
that.
of the girls in one of those videos a long time ago. You guys have seen it. She was very uncomfortable. She said, "Oh yeah, he copped a feel."
Wow.
Yeah.
If I'm her dad,
that man wouldn't be able to walk.
I'm going to prison.
Yep.
So he's out there and he's greeting them and he talks to the boy, and the mask that he was just wearing, he gives it to the boy, puts it in his hand, and then walks away. And you can see the kid go, "What the frick?" It's like, I mean, if it was like, hey, I have some, here's some mask that have the presidential seal on it. This is the one he's wearing. Yeah. There you go, kid. Gee, thanks.
I just wonder every time they let him out of whatever bunker they keep him in, if they
they're going.
he's out. He's out without a script, and it's like we ain't letting him out for another 2 weeks.
Just like when he walked in that room or whatever, and they had him on camera, and they were like, the reporter asked him, "So we have to? You said that if we got vaccinated, we don't have to wear the mask anymore." "I never said that.
Yeah.
I never said that." And it's like, well, they've got you on repeat on every news station saying it.
Yeah.
So.
Vaxxter mask.
Yeah, Vaxxter Max. Yeah.
Oh, he's so funny. You just know they're sitting there watching him when he's out going, "Oh, please don't do Steve.
Stick to the cards.
No! Oh, shut up!"
There's been several memes about it. There's some sort of video meme where there's people sitting around a conference room table and they're watching something just get really bad, and then the camera keeps spinning around and seeing everybody at the table just losing their crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
You think he's going to be impeached?
I saw that there were more than one Republican that were putting impeachment papers together over the weekend.
For what?
For Biden.
On what grounds?
All of the grounds. I don't know. I didn't read the whole thing, but that's what they said. And then I also saw that last week his approval rating was down 20 points.
20 points.
And then
That's insane, man.
That hurts.
And then the start of this week, they said that this has been his largest 2-week decline since the start.
I mean, you'd almost have to drown a kitten on live television to have your points drop by 20.
Yeah, but the Democratic Party sitting there going, yes.
Well, that's what I told him. I said
our black woman president is in the waiting. They're going to sit there.
I said if the media's pushing it, then that's the
yeah.
plan.
Oh, they can't wait.
That's the plan.
They can't wait.
If you start seeing on New York Times, Washington Post, PMS, NBC, and all those other places, then you know the plan's in the works, and they're trying to get rid of him. All right, second question. Would we have this variant if it wasn't for the vaccine?
We talked about this a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
I don't know the scientific answer to this, but I know that I have read studies that vaccines create variants, especially when they're implemented very early.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's
So,
what I read.
but we don't. Yeah, and I talked about that. That guy, that epidemiologist, was out saying basically we're creating a variant in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the variant is caused more so from the vaccine at this point. I don't think it would have not come about because of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it still would have come about, but I think it probably hurried it up because
Thanks, guys.
it has no choice. A virus is
Adapt or
going
die.
to adapt or die. It doesn't want to die, so it's going to find a way to adapt.
Mm-hmm. If it does work, then why do I need it if you have it?
Yeah, that's been my question the whole
But
time.
it doesn't work.
It either works for you, therefore I don't need it, or it doesn't work
But
at
it
all.
doesn't work.
If I'm in a room with 10 people, and we've said this many times, if I'm in a room with 10 people and 9 of them have been vaccinated, there's no reason for me to be vaccinated.
Yes, there is, because it doesn't work.
Well, obviously it does it.
If it worked, but it doesn't. So everybody wants you to have it just so you can fall in line with them.
I was talking about the numbers with somebody the other day. I think it was Shutup Cameron. We were talking the other day because Biden and the administration come out and said that 99.5% of all COVID cases at the moment are from unvaccinated people.
Bull.
And what the real number is that 99.5% since the beginning of last year is unvaccinated. They backdated the unvaccinated
the beginning
number
of last year.
Yeah, since the beginning, and that's how they can
That is-
somewhat truthfully say 99.5%.
That's brilliant.
The New York Times and the Washington Post ran a story that basically said there was a surge in Massachusetts, and 74% of that surge were vaccinated people.
Really.
Now, the Washington Post, I mean, I'm sure that was an accident because probably they had,
Oh, that reporter died.
Yeah. He was
He
suicided.
suicided, yeah.
So, but that's a report because they came out, the White House went in panic mode and came out and said, whoa, wait a minute. If you're vaccinated, you have a less of a chance of transmitting the virus or something like that. They're making stuff up every single week as they go along.
Yeah.
This is kind of change the
Their
story.
story falls
You
apart.
get your story
But
right.
you know what they say? You know how they justify their actions?
Huh.
They say we didn't know before. We're learning.
Oh, that's great. They're learning, folks. All you people who took the jab, they're learning.
Yeah.
On you.
There's
Oh,
no way that we
congratulations.
could have
You're the
understood
guinea pig.
this. We're learning every day and we're adapting. Yeah.
The first baby is born with a foot growing out of his side of his head. Oh, we're learning. Yeah. This is the thing I don't understand also. The people who think I'm a racist, bigoted, sexist, homophobic, Neanderthal, racist,
Hateful.
scourge of humanity.
You are, but continue.
Thank you. I wear it well. Want to save me.
Want to save you?
Yeah, that's kind of hard to believe.
Bull crap.
Here's the thing. So
Why do they care about you so much? Yeah.
They don't.
let's all agree that most of the people getting the vaccine, whatever we want to call it. Can I say that word now?
Go
think
ahead.
we
I don't
already
care
have.
anymore.
Yeah,
I don't
most
care.
people getting this vaccine are probably liberal in nature.
Some of them, yeah.
I'd say a
And some
majority.
conservatives have gotten them.
Yeah, some of them have. But here's the thing. So if I'm the liberals and a majority of my people have got this thing and a majority of the conservatives don't want it, I'm going to let them die.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking.
I'm just going to say, don't take it. Die.
If a Planned Parenthood doctor comes up and says, I don't want to take the vaccine, I'm like, cool.
Yeah. See
It's
ya.
because you're too much of a risk to them at the moment. Even though they have vaccines.
They've been vaccinated.
Doesn't
It's
matter.
not working.
Doesn't matter. That vaccine's only good for keeping them out of the hospital and off their deathbed.
Well, see, then they shouldn't even worry because if they get it, they'll just have a mild cold and they'll just move along with life.
And then they'll have real antibodies.
Then it would have worked. Now they are truly immune.
Well, the guy, I
maybe
saw
I
this
don't
something that's
understand.
really interesting. I'll do it really fast. But a guy was kind of demonstrating how you have these non-specific antibodies that will attack everything. And then when you do a vaccine, and you can look it up. I'm not doing it justice, but when we do a vaccine, it makes it like it only does X virus. Your antibodies kind of change. They become specific antibodies, and they change. So everything else just kind of goes by them, but they're set to target that one particular thing. So it's actually hurting your immune system. And one of the things that we don't say enough here, and I don't know if we've ever really said it here, if you've been vaccinated, we love you. You're still our brothers and sisters. Yeah. We don't care.
Yeah.
Yep.
We really don't care. But if you've been vaccinated, if you can't see what's going on, and you're one of these people who want to throw us in concentration camps or want to put a scarlet letter on our chest or a Star of David or a tattoo on our forearm, then yeah, we're not friends. But I'm trying to say it nicely.
Yeah,
but it's seriously, because you and I, we don't have the same ideology. It's not about right now. At the beginning, it was about a vaccination issue. Now it's about a freedom issue. It's about the government mandating that you need to do particular things.
Yep. We had a long discussion over several days with our friends in Ireland, and he was talking about how the administration is working on his end, and how he talks about them being encouraging about the vaccine.
Yeah.
And I said, well, we don't have that over here. We have ultimatums and coercion and requirements.
Right.
And what was it? He was saying that he's on the fence as to whether he wants to have this.
Right.
And I said, but the way the message has been dealt out to you is completely different than it is here.
Right.
Yeah.
And he goes, and one of the things he said was, I'm actually extremely surprised that you guys get it for free because your health care is not free.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's an interesting take on that.
Yeah.
Good. Nice job, Darth Vader.
He goes, I'm sure after you guys don't have to pay for it. Because the health care is different
That's
over
true.
there. They don't
That's
pay for
true.
health care over there.
Right.
So,
Well, I go get allergy shots, and
Yeah.
why can't that be free?
Because they can make.
Because I'm not infecting
anybody.
anybody. I'm not infecting anybody else.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
But if we can get into that. That's another story for another time. But it just seems like any death from
I remember what he said now.
Any death from the Kamala is like unacceptable.
One of the things he said was, and it just makes perfect sense. You can go.
JR's like, I got to talk about this before I forget.
I
Go ahead.
Yeah, I got to talk about it before I forget because I
right.
forgot it once. You're going to make me do it again.
Okay. I didn't make you last time. My
He
body,
was
my
saying,
choice.
He was saying, I really think that it would go a long way if somebody could get their hands on this, break down, and be truthful and factual about what's actually in it.
That would be
Right.
wonderful.
And I said, well, that doesn't happen around here. We got Moderna saying that they have proprietary ingredients that they don't have to tell anybody about. And here's the thing. You're not injecting a dormant virus into your body when you get these vaccines. From what I understand, they are mRNA vaccines, which means they are a chemically manipulated compound to trigger a response in your body.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I am just supposed to believe that as they manipulate my DNA, without telling me what's in there, that at some point they're not going to manipulate it in a way that they're not telling us.
And they have your best interest in heart.
Yeah.
When they're doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why people would think and have such a problem understanding this, that the same people who rigged an entire election in the United States would have a problem doing anything like this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the same people who just kill anybody that is in their way, who will fake wars in order to accomplish their goals, would have any problem with killing people indiscriminately. I don't know why people have a hard time accepting that.
Mm-hmm.
I understand the government. I understand what the government does. I understand what the government is capable of.
Sure.
And so when they're like, trust us, I'm like, I don't trust you at all.
No.
There's nothing about you I trust.
No. Just look at the past.
So look at the past.
Just go back and look at the past.
Do some research on the Vietnam War.
My gosh.
And the origins of the Vietnam War.
Yeah,
and
how
things.
all that got started and why it got started.
Right. And they'll label you a conspiracy kook, and that's fine. But you need to understand, I read a lot of Tom Clancy stuff, Vince Flynn. I read those particular, and those guys are pretty legit, and they're not going to really manufacture things. And just to see the nefarious things that are taking place in your government and what your government is doing to protect you, but at the same time they're eroding your liberties while they're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty hard.
Oh man, the stuff that Tom Clancy wrote a decade ahead of it actually materializing in real life.
Yeah.
In his books, in his video games, so many pieces of tech and sort of situations we've watched happen for real 10 years after he wrote it.
Shout out to The Division, one of the best games ever. But what I was going to say was any death from COVID seems to be unacceptable. Like 100,000 people can die from the flu and nobody bats an eye. Mm-hmm. But you have 2 deaths from COVID, and all of a sudden, and by the time that in Washington D.C. when Biden was talking about it spiking again in Washington, they had 2 deaths. Mm-hmm. They had 11 deaths by homicide.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But that homicide's not an epidemic. You have 96 people shot in Chicago. We don't even bet it not because we understand there's certain risk to life.
Well, you saw what they consider substantial infection now, right? Mm-mm. 50 infections in 100,000 people is substantial outbreak.
50
in 100,000.
In 100,000.
Yeah.
The bar keeps getting moved all the time.
Wow.
They're not moving the goalposts. They're putting the goalposts closer together.
Yeah, they are.
It's .02, right?
Yeah, but people know there's a risk that you have in life. You get in your car, every time you get in your car, go down the road, there's a risk that you take. I mean, I was driving down the road the other day. I'm on a 2-lane road, which means for those of you in New Harmony, one goes one way, one goes the other. All right, so I'm in a 2-lane road. I'm driving down.
.05.
I'm down it, and this guy pulls out. So I'm coming this way. This guy pulls out this way. So I'm like, you're thinking, this dude's he pulled out in front of me. Oh no, he's merging.
What?
He pulls in and just drives along beside me till I get past him, and then he merges behind me on a 2-lane.
On a 2-lane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Huh. I bet you money he had a Biden sticker on the back of his car. Bet you money.
Simple Joe.
I got behind a dude the other day, had his turning signal on for 15 miles, had a Biden sticker on the back of his car. Probably too busy licking the windshield. COVID cards in New York City. You can't eat in a restaurant unless you have a COVID card.
At what point
vaccination
are
ID? Yeah,
going to start standing up?
Oh, we talked about that 2 weeks ago.
I mean, seriously though.
New York City was
Is
just the start of it, though. New York City was just the start of it. We now have mandatory vaccines for state-ran congregate buildings in Illinois. So that's your vet hospitals. That's your long-term care facilities, if they are state-ran. All those employees, mandatory. Something, again, still not FDA approved, but mandatory by October 4th.
I'm not eating anywhere that has a vaccine card.
Nope.
I'm not shopping anywhere that has a vaccine card.
Nope.
If he comes in and goes, "Where's your card?" I'll say, "Well, here's my card." Boop. Pop the hand up here. I think what we ought to do, I think there ought to be, everybody should have to reveal every disease they have.
I mean, if that's what we're doing with a COVID shot, it only makes sense. Fair? It only makes sense.
I think if you're at a hospital and you work there and they require you to get a jab and you don't get a jab and they're going to mark you somehow, which they have to, so that people know to avoid you, which I think is pretty good. If I can wear a bracelet where people won't talk to me, fantastic. I'll do that all day long. But I think everybody, like if you have herpes,
Yeah, I don't want it.
I think you ought to wear a big H on your chest.
There you go.
To let everybody know you have herpes.
Yeah.
Or you're happy.
Right.
If you have the crabs, you ought to wear like a little crab, little lobster on your chest. So everybody goes by and goes, that person has crabs and you stay away from them.
Yeah. It's only fair.
Kids, if you don't know what crabs is, look it up. So, it's at a safe site. But, I mean, is that not, okay, if you've got a disease that you can transmit to me, and right now I'm struggling to find, let's see, flu, what else can I transmit? AIDS? If you've got AIDS, I should know that you have AIDS.
Yeah.
If I'm going to have to tell you I haven't been vaccinated, then you need to, if we're going to pass out the medical information, we need to do everybody's medical information. Yeah. If you have been diagnosed with any kind of psychological problem,
oh, there you go.
If you have a history of mental illness, I should be able to know that when I see you.
You've seen it happen, even in television, but I'm sure it happens in real life. Like in medical drama, if somebody is being worked on in a hospital and they start bleeding profusely or coughing blood, what's the first thing that the nurses and the doctors do? They put on a face mask if they know the person has AIDS.
Yeah.
But if they didn't have the medical record there, how would anybody else know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's what they ought to do. I think you'll see this crap stop really fast.
Well, let me take a spin it a little bit, maybe with a little bit of a biblical perspective. Now we're seeing where certain areas in larger cities, New York City, say you can't come in here, you can't eat in a diner, you can't go to a Broadway play without a vaccination card, vaccine ID. That's keeping us from going places. How long before our lack of vaccine ID keeps us from even purchasing things from other places?
That's the question.
Well, I don't think Amazon would be able to do it, right? Unless there's a federal database somewhere that they can access.
Amazon could decide that tomorrow and said, no, we ain't selling it unvaccinated. You know what people do? Get vaccinated. For something like Amazon?
Oh, heck yeah.
Oh, wait. I mean, no, never.
No doubt.
Well, and the reason I throw that out there like that is because people legitimately have asked me what I thought about the vaccine. Do I think it is some form of the mark of the beast? They're concerned, right?
Yeah.
And I've always told them from the very beginning, I don't think this one is. But I'm partially convinced that it is a precursor to something that will be.
I don't think we're in the end times.
I don't know if I agree with that.
I don't.
If you talk about,
you can be wrong if you want to be.
Oh,
if you talk about being unable to buy, sell, and trade without the mark, that's what Revelation talks about.
Are you familiar with Deuteronomy 28?
Not off the top of my head. That's Old Testament.
There is a listing, and a lot of people, they're just kind of like, well, we don't really pay attention to the...
People don't pay attention to Old Testament, no?
We don't pay attention to Old Testament except for 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people who are called by my name, they know that one.
They know that one. They probably don't know it's in the
Deuteronomy
Old Testament.
28 is about a list of curses
Okay.
for Israel if they were disobedient to God. And he talks about everything in there about diseases. He talks about your travel will be limited. Look it up, Deuteronomy 28. And
Curses for disobedience.
I don't know. I don't really know. But I think there's...
so you think this is a consequence for disobedience?
I wouldn't doubt it. I don't think, and this may be shocking to people,
It'd be shocking we're talking about the Bible.
Not for that too, but for a pastor to say, I don't think there's anything wrong with saying we are being punished as a nation because, and if you look at how decadent our society is now,
yeah,
I don't think I have no problem saying we're being punished by God for our actions.
Oh yeah, I think don't quote me. I think it's 2 Thessalonians where it talks about the idea of God removing His hand from the earth. And just stepping back and go, look what I've kind of been protecting the whole time. Look what happens when I don't. And I fully believe that's what we're seeing.
So what we have is we have these churches, and everybody's like, we need to pray to God. Everybody, we're going to get together. We're going to have a prayer service. We're going to pray to God to stop the Kamala, the virus, and the president. And
both of them.
And, to do all these particular things and to heal our country and stuff like that. Here's the issue. All right? This is... If I haven't offended you before, this is where I'm going to offend you now. You're praying to God for Him to do something while your church is walking in disobedience. That's the problem. And that's what people don't understand. We're going to have a prayer meeting now where we're going to pray for God to restore our country. And when we get done, our female pastor is going to lead us in something. Yeah. All right. Well, you're in willful, direct disobedience of Scripture when you do that. You just are. I know we're libertarian about stuff and we're cool about a lot of things. We're not cool about that because you're violating the Bible. All right. So you can't. We're focusing on these other things while we have these issues that are taking place. I mean, I listed some things here. I mean, you're praying for God to change the country while your church abuses the spiritual gift of tongues within the body. And willfully, knowingly is disobedient to 1 Corinthians 12, 13, 14, how it's supposed to be used within the church. You're praying for God to change the world, but you pray to Mary. You're praying for God to change the world. You have a mega church that has 1,000 people show up, and the church in Corinth in 1 Corinthians 5 got rid of one guy because of sexual sin, but you've got 100 who are committing sexual sin in your body on a Sunday morning. You won't do anything about it, but you're praying for God to heal the land. I'm preaching. Hold on.
Take a breath.
Second Chronicles chapter 7, verse 14 talks about you changing you. And when you change you, then God will change the land. Mm-hmm. You've got to change you first. And we're praying for God to go against all these principalities and powers while we're walking in willful disobedience to him. You see all these pastors who are falling away, all these pastors who are denying the faith, doing all these particular things, and you know, you want God to change the world, but you got lazy deacons. You want God to change the world, but you're disrespectful to your pastor. We have all these. You want God to change the world, but you don't even tithe or serve within your local body. Mm-hmm. You want God to change. You want God's presence to come back. You want to see revival come back to the churches. We have to change as people, and that's what we're missing.
Let's look at it from another side. Do you think you can change God's mind?
Oh no! Don't go into that.
No,
you can't change God's mind. So if what we're seeing,
that was easy.
Why'd you even ask that?
Yeah, why?
No. If
you're a super Calvinist anyway, we know that.
If what we are seeing is part of His plan for right now,
right?
I can't change His mind about it.
No.
So why are we even asking Him to do that? Do we think that He didn't see 2020 and 2021 coming?
Wow, He is a super Calvinist, isn't he?
This has nothing to do with
that's something you and I wouldn't even talk about.
I know, that's like borderline, like, should we
don't
pray?
pray, folks. It doesn't work.
Yeah, should we pray for little Jimmy? He's in the hospital. Nope, he's either going to die or he's not.
Here.
Oh my gosh, you sound like a Southern Baptist now.
Unpopular opinion, prayer changes us, not God.
Oh, well, that's bumper sticker theology right there.
It is, but wow, I'm really surprised about the Calvinistic.
I know, man. That's pretty intense. I think
not Calvinist.
I think as far as God's perfect will, no, you can't do that. But I think He can change His permissive will. I think He can change particular things within there.
You think you can cause God to have to react?
Gosh, you sound like me.
He is all over you.
No, I think. Oh my gosh.
I feel like if I can do something, just little old me.
Well, I'm going to take him down a dark road if I keep going down where he wants to go. You don't want to go.
If I feel like
you don't want to see
if
how
I can do
deep
something,
the rabbit hole goes, buddy.
If I can do something with my measly, humble life that causes God to react, He's not really all.
Then how can you be? Powerful. How can you not be a Calvinist?
Calvinist is a strong word.
Okay, yeah, I don't like that either.
He doesn't like the
like
word.
being an Osteenist or something. But
yeah.
it's
Osteenist.
I just think if in some way
positivity,
what's happening in 2020 and 2021 is by some way either designed by God or allowed by God. Either way, no matter the amount of time that we spend our church praying about it, whether our church is living in sin or not, I don't think we can affect.
So you don't think God punishes disobedience?
Yeah. But
that's what I'm talking about.
But hold on. If this is His plan for punishing disobedience, He's going to do it. Whether I like it or not. Whether my church likes it or not.
I'm not understanding your argument.
Okay.
Because the church in Corinth was abusing the Lord's Supper.
Right.
Okay. So you're saying it was God's will that some of them had died?
No.
Okay, but they were being punished.
They're being punished.
Okay.
So if what we're seeing now today is us being punished, then we either have to write it out till the punishment's over, right? Or until we learn what we've done wrong and fix it.
But the purpose of His punishment, especially in the Old Testament, His punishment against Israel was to get a response from them.
Yeah.
And He's looking for a response from the United States, from our churches especially.
We're just tripping over each other.
Okay, that's fine. I don't think prayer is the response.
But I understand your argument.
I think change is the response.
I understand your argument because it implies, which I would never do, but it implies that God is reacting to what we're doing.
Right. That's hard to understand.
And it's a very complex subject. We don't have enough time to do it. And we want to actually keep people watching the show. If we got into that, you know, if you're not really
that'd
into
be a bit much.
Now the Calvinists are tuning in because they love it, man. Bring it. They want to talk about this stuff all the time.
You're all going to hell.
But
getting about it.
Well, you know me. I have no problem. You know, I believe in election. I believe in what God does. I believe in all those particular things. You can't deny it. It's in there. John the Baptist, you know, was elected. I mean, I think the disciples were elected. Paul was elected.
Doesn't mean everybody is, though.
Okay, you can go down that road if you want to.
Yeah.
Well, gosh, that's just such a cowardly way out. It is.
Well, if you start going,
either poop or get off the pot, man.
if you're saying there's just election and nowhere else, that's
Sitting on the
Calvinism.
fence.
I know.
If it's election or nothing, that's Calvinism.
Okay, well, that's a modified view, and that's fine.
Reformed view.
But there's that balance there, and that's what tough. I kid about election. There's certain aspects where I understand. I get it, and then there's other stuff where I just trust God that He's sovereign. He knows more than I do. I just let Him, and I don't have to fully understand it in order to be able to accept it. I'm just one of those people. If God says, I want you to hop on your feet the rest of your, hop on your 1 foot the rest of your life, I'm like, I don't get it, but I'm going to do it because that's what you told me to do. And so when you look at these particular issues, I think in some way that you're right, that these decrees that he put out here, especially in Deuteronomy 28, was basically to get them to change their behavior.
Yeah.
So I think he's God. He can do whatever he wants to do. If God wants to stop the world and rewind it back 10 years, he can do that because he's God. So it's a very complicated issue. But I do think that we're under punishment from God. Was it planned? Was it foreknown? Yes, absolutely. He knew what we were going to do. Mm-hmm. And so this punishment, don't pray about changing anything.
Right there.
Change yourselves.
And that's I know it sounds like we disagree, but I don't think we do. You were saying the church needs to change and not be praying about it. And I said that the response, that if this is punishment that we're in, the response is not prayer, it is change.
Oh yeah,
true repentance, not forgiveness, but true repentance.
Right. The church needs to repent. Yeah. We need to repent because of a lot of things, but our willingness to have big churches but not make disciples. That's one of the things. I need to repent for youth ministry.
How you've done it wrong in the past?
I know a guy, I can't remember his name. What was his name? He was a student very prominent in youth ministry, and he called it a 50-year failed experiment. Youth ministry. I don't know. We're failing in our youth ministries. I'm a former youth minister. So is JR. Mike has been in youth ministries. We all have. Well, I wasn't. When I grew up, there was no youth ministry. I was the youngest. My age. There was nobody else my age in the church, and so I grew up without a youth ministry. Both of you guys grew up in youth ministries because it didn't come in till later on. After I had gone through the church as a teen. I was going to kind of do a change my mind. I think youth ministry is worthless, change my mind kind of thing.
I can't. Sorry, I'm not even going to try.
Tune in next week.
That was easy.
I'll push back a little. In the ways that it has been done in my lifetime, it's a waste of time.
How's it been done in your lifetime? Oh my gosh, I was your youth minister. Be nice.
Wow.
I actually appreciated you as a youth pastor.
Aww.
I'm sad.
You can pay me afterwards.
Yeah.
No. I think the modern youth ministry is, by and large, a waste of time. And we talked about this a couple weeks ago before the show on a completely different topic. But we get them in kids ministry and we teach them. And kids ministry, I think, done correctly, serves its purpose. Youth ministry, junior high, high school, does a little worse job of it. Because when they get right out of that high school class and they are forced into sanctuary ministry, sitting with the pastor on Sunday, they disappear. Because there's such a different teaching method and a big gap between high school and young adult. And in most churches, ours included, there's nothing to engage the young adults. And I think the youth ministry should have prepared them in some way for something in the middle. Mm-hmm. And we don't do that.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with youth ministry, it's basically there's kind of a pattern that develops with it. You get these people out there and you get them into youth ministry. They turn 16, they get their license. Then you don't hardly see them anymore. And then they're in that phase, that 16 on phase, till they get married, and then they come back to church. The problem is that statistics have shown they're not coming back to church. They're, I had a youth ministries, and 100 kids show up, and then you look back today, and it's like, how many of them are actively walking with the Lord today? And 10%, if that. And so I'm just saying, all the time, all the money, paying a full-time youth minister, all of that we have put into it, we're just not seeing results. Well, Lee, if it's just one, well, shut up. we got to be good stewards of God's money too.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're sitting there and we're blowing just hundreds and thousands of dollars and millions of dollars, it's, I don't know. I think there's a better way. I think there's a better way to do it. I think there's a better way to take that money and do something with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking about feeding the poor. I'm just talking about I think youth ministry has to be totally destroyed.
Yeah.
And redone from the bottom. Because kids today, I can't imagine doing it today. I can imagine sitting in front of kids today and teaching, and all of them sitting there looking at their cell phones. Well, you know me. There'd be a table when you walk in. Put your cell phone here. Leave it here.
Then they wouldn't have their Bible.
That's what they would say. We run Bibles on here. I'd make them take out a Bible and hold it. I'd be like, "What is this?"
It's a relic.
I know, what is this thing? But we failed our kids because we made it about fun and games, and you had all these kids who were real passionate and writing letters to Jesus, and how many, Mike's in skits, and Mike's doing plays, really emotional, heart-tugging
ministry, and
I'm writing a love letter to Jesus and telling him I will always serve him and always be faithful, and then later on they just
then I turned 16. I could just hang out with my friends other places.
Yeah.
I mean, that's honestly what happened. You
That's
get
true.
your license. It's like, oh well, there's no need to go to drama ministry and all that anymore because all my friends, I can drive their house now. And
you would just see it. We bring them in there, and they'd come in and have a lot of fun and to do fun activities, and then we'd have the moment when we talked. And when we talked, it was just like, oh gosh, you could just see them, the anguish on their face when we were doing that. I just think we could have. There's something we've got to do, because part of what we're experiencing now is the result of how we've done church in the past. Guys, for those of you at home, I'm pretty much basically every problem that we have in society today is because of how we've done church. That's my belief, that we have failed. How did we go from the 1940s and 1950s where everybody went to church, everybody was active in church? They may have been, godless pagans, in their dealings with other people, but they all went to church. They all had kind of a biblical mindset, worldview, whatever. Mm-hmm. We're at the point now to where they don't even care about Jesus anymore. They don't even care about God anymore. They don't care about none of that stuff. And even the back then, the people who would be your outlaws or your rebels still believed in God and still had still had this code that they lived by.
Yeah.
But now you've got these people who they don't have anything to do with God, and they grew up in church. Mm-hmm. How do you go from growing up in church to I don't want to have anything to do with God? And one of the things that we talked about, parents don't get involved at all in youth ministry. If you have a kid in youth ministry, get your butt in there and help out. And just drop your kids off and just leave.
Yeah, I think, especially if you take my kids out of the mix, because obviously they were there because I was the leader, but I think it was about 50% of my former youth ministry with their parents involved in the church. Maybe slightly, maybe 60%.
Oh, I can't even fathom a Crossroads. It was insane.
And I don't have the answer. I mean, we did that youth ministry for a couple years, and I get to now and I see, we made mistakes, we did things wrong, but we thought we were doing things different. We were trying to teach kids about real church, not just youth ministry, discovering their spiritual gifts, putting them to work within youth nights, spending at least one Sunday a month upstairs as part of the other group, and trying to integrate them in. And we're gone now, and less than half of them are there. A couple of them left. They're involved in another church, but, and then a third of them don't attend anywhere now.
Why do you think that there's no direct mention of any type of children's ministry or youth ministry within the Bible?
Because they were expected to sit in there with everybody else and deal with it.
And a lot of it had to do with home, too, I think. The parents took an active role.
Back then, your 5-year-old kid was out working his rear end off during the day. He was one of the adults.
Was that it? Was it the
Bobby
parents?
just turned 5. Go get a job.
Yeah.
Was it the parents in the first century that did their job at home, so it wasn't so hard? And now in this century, the parents aren't doing anything at home, so youth ministry was born.
Yeah, I think so. Well, I don't know. Mike Yaconelli, is that his name?
I don't know.
Mike Yaconelli, founder of Youth Specialties. You know that. Died in 2003. God rest your soul, Mike. You're a great guy. he issued an apology for youth ministry, and I guess we just kind of saw that we gotta have. That's what we think. We gotta have something for the children. We gotta have something for the youth. We say that. We don't ever say we gotta have something for the single adults. Yeah. No church feels that emphasis to do that. Think about how much money that you have spent on worship, with your worship leader and your worship bands and your pyrotechnics and all that stuff. And just think about how much money you've spent on that when you could have been thinking of more effective ways to actually reach people and make disciples. Mm-hmm. We failed to make disciples because we didn't expect discipleship from youth. That was one of our big problems, one of the mistakes that we made in youth ministry. You know, we say, well, the church of tomorrow, no, the church today, stick their butts in there and make them do something. If they can do something, one of the things our church, you know, and understandably, you know, well, I mean, but I've been to churches to where if you wanted to put a youth up there taking up the offering, that's reserved for the old guys to get up there and actually do that.
Yeah, they have to have something to do.
Yeah, ushers.
Ushers.
We have a group called ushers, folks. We've made ushers in our churches.
Our ushers are teenagers and young adults. So.
Yeah. But it's not cute when we put them up there. We stick them up there and they pray in front of the congregation. Mm-hmm. And it's not one of these, hey, thanks for everything. It's like, you better, you do a prayer. You do a sincere prayer while you're up there. But I think there's ways that you've got to get them involved, but we have just kind of said we treat them like kids, and so they act like kids. And that's our problem. We got a good friend, Garth Vader, over in Ireland who works with children. God bless you, man. His evangelistic heart, going to schools and stuff like that. I know he's concerned about discipleship. Mm-hmm. He is, and and I'm not talking about that particular thing, but just having the children's ministry and having the youth ministry because that's what you think your church is supposed to be doing is wrong. If you don't have a good plan, and you don't have a plan to get them from point A to point B in their discipleship, you'd be better off not doing one, because you just ruin them. So, I don't know. I don't know what to do with youth ministry. Any ideas? You guys are like, you should let us know beforehand before you're going to talk about this.
No, I read it on the list there. I saw it coming.
I don't. To me, Mike brought it up there, but we grew up in church, and there was nothing. We had a Sunday school class, but we went to service.
Yeah, back in my General Baptist days, that's how it was.
You went to service.
You went to service. You sat there with the adults.
If you were a baby and you were crying, nobody. The pastor, who was my grandfather a long time ago, was just kind of like, he would just talk over you. It wasn't that.
Oh, yeah, especially the old school Baptist preachers. They didn't care. They just get louder.
Yeah. If you were in the back and you were doing something, your mom would come back there.
Slap the crap out
of you. Mm-hmm. That's what we did.
Maybe the church growth movement caused it.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
The idea that, you can have your own opinions about church growth, but the idea that new guests are more important than established members. And maybe that's when getting new people who didn't want their kids in service get their kids stowed away for the service so their parents can hear gospel message for the 5th week in a row.
Right.
Maybe that's part of it.
Because they don't want to be bothered with their kids. They don't want to come in, they don't want to drop them off. I mean, I went to a church one time, their children's ministry looked like Disneyland.
Yeah, they're marketing with barcodes now. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're getting little cards. This is how you pick up your kid later. The mega churches they got serial numbers.
Sweet.
Yeah.
But what would be what's the purpose with, no matter how nice you try to make it, the purpose of having a fantastic children's ministry is to get the adults in the seat.
Absolutely.
That's what it is. Let's just call it for what it is, folks. The people who work with children have a heart for children's ministry. Your staff, they want butts in the seats. Mm-hmm. Let's have a fantastic children's ministry so that we can get the adults to come in and sit down and tithe.
Yeah, if you've got an indoor Disney World, guess what? You just took a whole bunch of families from other churches because they're like, my kids will like that way better.
Exactly. Yeah. Congratulations. Hope you feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
But we're not making disciples. I would, if I had to do it again, I would go back and I would just try to recall every youth, every child that I had in a ministry of mine, and I would want to go back and say, where are they now?
You're not going to be happy with those numbers.
You're not going to be happy with the numbers. No. Did I fail, or did the system fail? I don't think there's any problem with having kids in the service. Now, I understand. Now, I catch a lot of crap from my wife and other ladies within the church if I mention anything about that, because it's like the kids have to have something, because their understanding is they're not getting it at home.
Yeah, they should be.
But they are. I mean, my kids were not, they went to children's ministry, but at home they were learning godly principles and they were learning how to act as a Christian. And I can't say today if children's ministry helped them or didn't help them.
Yeah.
I mean, none of them look back and go, man, if it wasn't for children's ministry, I don't know where I'd be. Nobody ever says that. They don't. There might be some people who say, well, youth ministry really helped me out. Youth ministry. But people hardly don't say that anymore. Mm-mm. So I'm trying to say, let's rethink it. Let's do it. Let's tear it down and do it again, and let's do it in a biblical approach. But nobody wants to do that, because the biblical approach is stick our butts in there with the adults and let them learn by observing. Let them learn through modeling, mentorship. Let them learn that way.
Teach the parents how to run their home.
But what would be the problem, and you and I have disagreed on this, what's the problem with taking a group of young men and putting them in a Bible study with older guys? And you guys have gone off on me about that. I don't see an issue with it.
Age plays a role.
Okay.
Because I have a larger age span
yes, you
in my
do.
house, right? 6 years span between my 4 kids, right? Yeah. And my older kids, my oldest 2, could definitely come in and hang out with the men's group. I don't think the younger 2 could. And that's either their fault or our fault. It's the delivery, it's the topics that we discuss. Maybe what we do could be tailored for children, but then
you are going back to you are tailoring for that's my fear. You bring teenagers into a men's group. Now you're whether you realize it or not, you're going to tailor towards those teens.
In some way, yeah. And maybe not a bad way, though.
If you tailor something to a 12-year-old, are you going to keep Mike's attention? I don't know.
Probably more so.
But what if I say I don't? what if I say in my men's Bible study I'm not really concerned about keeping his attention? My job is to teach people within there, and whatever he can pick up over the years will be the same amount of stuff that he will pick up in the children's ministry over the years.
Is that discipleship, though?
If
we take the 12-year-old and say, whatever you pick up.
But we just said we're not making disciples in our ministries.
Yeah, but we're trying to fix that. We're not trying to create another ministry where we're not doing it.
Okay, but we're always about, we got to do it to the Bible. We got to do it in accordance with the Bible. But there's so many things within the church we don't do according to the Bible. There's no children's ministry. There's no youth ministry. Yeah. Nothing's established, but we just go out and we do it, and we think it's biblical. And if you say anything about it, man, you're a cursed leopard. We're going to throw you outside the church.
I never said it was biblical.
Right. So
I said I think church culture created a need for it. That doesn't make it
If
right.
it's not biblical, there's no sacred cows. If it's not biblical. I don't care what it is. Worship ministry, whatever it may be. If it's not biblical, it's not a sacred cow to me. And so I'm just like, everything needs to be always analyzed and scrutinized to see if we can do it better, or to see if we're doing it wrong. Or to see if we're actually taking something that's not biblical and turned into an idol, which we have done with ministries within our churches, especially worship ministry.
Not ours.
Not ours. Ours is as lame as you can possibly get.
Christian karaoke.
Christian karaoke. But we worship.
Yeah.
We have no problem worshiping. And I don't know if we ever stuck us in front of a live band and worshiped. I think our heads would explode. Because we can worship with what we have. But I just kind of want to close with this. We're going to end. I didn't think we'd go this long. Gosh, should we do it again? But I want to encourage those if you are a youth minister, rethink your plan. Rethink your objective, what you're trying to accomplish here. And focus more on discipleship and not camps, not these high octane, high emotion type events, not discipleship now weekends. I really would like to bring a friend of mine on sometime to talk about this. He would be really great. Mm-hmm. But just to be able to take it, reevaluate it, and say, is what we're doing working? Is it legitimately working? And if it's not, then it needs to be redone. Because that's what we want. We just don't want to do ministry just to do ministry. Because if we're not helping anybody, all we're doing is it's for our own ego. All right? I talked way too much.
We're right on an hour.
Did you talk? I listened. You talked a lot. You did a good job last week. You really did.
Aw.
You led the show.
It's tough. It's tough being in this
It
chair
is
right
tough
here.
being in that chair. I didn't necessarily like it. I'll be honest.
Because if you don't, JR just gonna stand there the whole time. If you don't say anything, he's just gonna look at you.
I know he's gonna.
Wow.
He's gonna have that death stare.
Yeah.
Just waiting for my chance.
He's
He's
to
gonna be
judging.
over on his phone.
That's because he's super Christian. He's judging every moment.
I hate dead air. You know that, right?
That's me waiting to pounce.
Yeah. I hate dead air. So if you ever think I'm talking over these guys, I hate any moment of dead
That's
air.
true.
So I'm always I'm talking. All
It's
right,
a perfect opportunity for me to just to turn his mic off right there, and he's talking, and it's just dead air.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Cameron's alive.
Cameron's alive.
Yeah.
Oh, you ruined the secret.
He's on vacation with his family, but I know where he is. And be sure to check the lug nuts on that camper. No, he did not turn me in.
He'll be back before he watches this, I think.
Yeah, and Tony will be back next week and we're anxious to see that video. I don't know. Was he going to the vegetarian nudist colony? Was he doing a model layout for a gay magazine? I couldn't figure out which.
I think that's
I
next.
threw that in the end. Nobody heard that, so that's good. That's for you, sweet Tony, for missing.
Sweet Tony.
Yeah. All right, we love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. We are the Gospel Broalition. Be sure to tune in next time, Monday, every time, 12 o'clock. And like and subscribe down at the bottom. We love you guys. Oh, by the way, Granger Smith is not a preacher.
Disagree.
He went to church. He spoke. It's not. You just can't do that.
I'm not saying he's a preacher, but he had a good message.
You can't
Deal
have
with
a
it.
guy in the pulpit.
Don't be jelly.
Who talks about on his first date taking a chick, putting her on bags of feed.
Hold on.
Why
hold on.
not?
And
Hold on.
knocking boots and going, yeah.
Why
You
not?
can't do
It's
that.
his wife. I can do that with my wife all I want.
Hold on.
It was their first date.
Tune in next
How
week.
do you know? Wait, hey, you can't.
He cut us off.
Can't be, he did.
Deadpool.
Deadpool.
Rock, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening, bud.
And making it all the way to the end.
Make it to the end.
Or Budette. We don't even know who you are.
Mission
So,
accomplished.
It's true. You're a mystery to us.
You've been listening to
You're gonna
the
lose the
Gospel
Granger Smith
Broalition with
I'm not
Pastor
gonna lose
Lee.
Granger.
I'm gonna get him on here.
Robinson,
Did
and
you
the
also
Hoosier Hillbilly,
Note
Mike
when the
Hall.
song was wrote.
A show
and note when he
for
truly
men,
became a Christian.
by men. If it's religion,
Boom
politics,
shakalaka
cars,
in your
Save this for
face.
next week.
That's a good point.
cigars, and anything
save
else
this for next week.
flammable,
You're
we're
killing the
talking
debate.
We'll talk about it. We can put
We
Granger
hope you
Smith in our
enjoyed the show.
track.
We
And
know
he can
we
get mad
had
at me.
fun.
He
We'll
can,
be
and
back
he'll love
soon,
me
and
because
thank
I'm
you
the best.
for
I
being
love
a part
him.
I'm the
of
best fan
Gospel
ever.
Broalition.
See you, Darth Vader.
See you, Darth Vader.